2 weeks ago, my youngest child graduated from high school. And yes, I do have some deep feelings associated with that. But what struck me was that the community speaker, and during his speech, talked about how adversity is one of life's greatest gifts. And that sort of reminded me about how here at Wildwood Nature School, we have a policy where teachers do not place children in or on things. So to get into the treehouse, child has to be able to climb the ladder. To get on the rope swing, child has to be able to use their core and their legs to jump up onto the rope. To sit on that thick branch that's higher up in the tree with your friend, child has to be able to pull themselves up on the branch. And part of the reason why we do this has to do with safety, right? I never want to place a child in a high spot where they either don't feel comfortable or can't safely get down from on their own. But another important reason is that I believe that the struggle is an important learning opportunity for children. Hello, I'm Nicole Drebils Fravel, and this is Wildwood Teaching. And today I want to talk about the benefits of letting children struggle, the cost of taking that struggle away from them, and of course, how nature-based programs promote this healthy struggle. So first, what do I mean by healthy struggle? So, when I say that I let children struggle, that does not mean that the teachers sit around and refuse to help them. It means, one, that what children are attempting to do is developmentally appropriate and within their capabilities, right? So I know, for example, that the rungs of the ladder on our treehouse are close enough together that 3-year-old legs can reach them. And I know that while climbing a ladder is more difficult than walking, right? It involves more balance, more core stability, greater coordination than walking, right? It is within the capabilities of most 3 and 4-year-olds to learn that coordination, right? To develop it. 2, asking for help is encouraged. Here at Wildwood Nature School, it is a problem-solving strategy. But there is a distinction between helping somebody and taking over, right? So when we teachers help a child, we might ask questions, right? What is your plan? We might offer some suggestions. We might stand by for emotional support or, right, to catch somebody if they fall, right? And that is very different from doing it for somebody. And I think there are 2 important reasons why we want children to struggle a bit. And so, reason number 1 is the struggle is what's going to develop problem solving skills, right? This is the basis for critical thinking, for testing, for experimenting, for adapting what you're doing, right? The only way you can learn how to solve problems is to have problems that you practice solving. So, for example, about a year and a half ago, we were down near the creek and I watched a child kind of like dump a leaf in one area of the creek and then dump another leaf and then walk away and find like a tiny twig and dump it in. And I'm just watching. I kind of know what he's trying to do, but I'm just watching. I'm observing. And at one point, he looks at me and says, "It's not working." So I ask, "Well, what are you trying to do?" "Well, I'm trying to stop the water from moving right here." I'm like, "Oh, you're trying to build a dam." "Yes, I'm trying to build a dam, but it's not working." Okay. What have you tried?" "Well, I tried, sticking this leaf here, but it just floated away." "Okay. What else could you try?" "I know," he says. "I could get a rock." This is fantastic. Right? "I think that's a good idea. Why don't you try getting a rock?" And what he came back with were little teeny tiny pebbles and like plunk them into the water. Still not working. Okay. Still not working. What else could you try? "I could try a stick." Fantastic idea. Why don't you try a stick? See what happens. And so he head out. And again, I'm going to say like a 2-inch twig that was skinnier than my finger drops it in the water. And, now it's not working. And it's about time for us. We've got to hike out of the forest. And so, it's okay. Right. I figure, yeah, just wasn't where he was at right now. And it's okay. I'm not going to step in and solve the problem for him and deny him the struggle. If it didn't work, it didn't work. That's great. That's okay. We don't need to build a dam. But the thing is, over the course of the next couple of weeks, as we return to the creek, he returned to that problem. And gradually, he found a rock and he found fatter logs, not twigs. And he leaned into the process and he recruited other children. "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm trying to build a dam." And the other children, they had ideas. "Oh, I have a really good log that is fatter than that one that will work for you." And more and more children joined the process. He got better at it, and lo and behold, the children built such a dam that they raised the water level behind the dam by about 1 foot, to the point where I was a little bit concerned about just us affecting the ecology of the area. But through that struggle, right, they learned how to solve a problem. And the thing is, too, right, the second reason why you want children to struggle is that it leads to a deeper retention and understanding in the long run, right? So now, when anybody tells them how to build a dam or how to stop water, they remember that. They know. It's similar to how, like, if you're driving somewhere new and you use your GPS for directions and you're just listening and, mindlessly following the directions that the GPS gives you, right? You'll get there, but you will not know how to get there the next time. But if you say have to memorize the directions, right? Somebody's orally telling you the directions, you have to memorize it. You are paying attention to landmarks as you go. Okay, I'm going to turn right after I pass the donut sign, right? Maybe you're even getting a little bit lost and you have to redirect yourself. Not only are you going to remember how to get there the next time without the GPS, without the directions, but you probably learned something about the city or the town where you're driving, right? How things are in relation to each other. Maybe you have that, taxi driver visual map in your brain of the area, right? And so, right, I am always amazed by the spatial understanding that my preschoolers have, where, we used to have lanterns above our head in our covered area. The wind blew them away, just paper lanterns that we had designed. and amazed that a 3-year-old could point to the 3 paper lanterns that were left and go, oh, 1, 2, 3, oh, those points form a triangle. Or that a 4-year-old can pick up a stick in the forest, not only tell me that it's a cylinder, but say, hey, you know what? A cylinder is just a bunch of circles stacked on top of each other. Or that 5-year-olds can build complex pulley and lever systems to move something in the forest. And I couldn't figure out exactly why, like, what am I doing that is creating this until a few months ago when I happened to talk to a curriculum developer, and she pointed out to me how important spatial skills are for navigating in the forest. Right? You need to navigate uneven terrain. So you need to be able to pay attention to the shapes. You need to orient yourself within the forest so that you don't get lost. So paying attention to all of these details led to my children having this need to understand their spatial environment. And these results come from letting the children take the time to play, to get it wrong, to explore in the forest and get a little bit lost, to experiment within that space with the natural elements, to get to know them deeply. And so, just as important of the things, the benefits that children get from the struggle, I think, are the things that we are depriving children of if we take away their struggle. And so, I heard someone express it as don't steal their success. If we jump in to make everything easy for children, to do it for them, we deny them that I did it moment, the pride, the confidence, right? I just had somebody a couple days ago, a child scramble across a log and then run towards me with arms in the air. Nicole, I just crossed that log. Right? So they are going to bring that into other areas of their life. We also, my preschoolers are into kind of crafting and designing using sticks lately. One child said to me, Nicole, you should just put a bunch of sticks on the art table and, some tape and, let us do things. I'm like, that's a fantastic idea. I think I'll do that. I added some string, and there was one little girl kind of sticking some sticks on top of each other and kind of, it's not working, right? And I asked her again, what are you trying to do? And she said, well, I'm trying to, make a frame. But I don't know how to attach the sticks, right? I could use glue, but, I don't think the glue is sticking. Like, okay, what else could you try? I'm like, she's like, I could use the string, but I don't know how to tie it. All right, that's great. I'm not going to do it for you, but I'm going to show you how to make knots in the string. How do you tie it? I'm going to show you with mine how I might do it, right? I might even put the sticks on top of the string so I'm not holding the sticks at the same time as I'm holding the string. And we kind of worked through the process, and it was a struggle, right? She tried it a little bit, and each time there was something else that went wrong, right? The sticks were moving while she was trying to tie them, or she got the knot, but tying it once wasn't holding, and it took a while till she figured out the process. And then we finally did make a frame, and she then, drew a picture on a piece of paper and taped it into the frame. And the pride, as soon as her mom came to pick her up that day, the first thing she did, look, Mom, I made a frame. We can hang it on our wall and we can change out the picture and you can use it, right? So don't steal that pride from the children. Similarly, if we deny children the struggle, we deprive them of the opportunity to manage their emotions, right? Fear of failure leads to an inability to take risks, be risk adverse. And there can be no learning without some level of risk taking, stretching, challenging yourself to tackle something new, to understand something new, even if that's just memorizing something new. And children need to experience the struggle to learn what to do when they get frustrated. To know that a mistake isn't the end of the world. We can take a deep breath. We can step away from it. We can try something new. And to know that trying something new does sometimes mean that it's not going to work. And that's okay. So we had at the end of the year, the children always do something to recap their learning for the parents. This year, they decided to write songs about what they had learned in forest school this year and perform it for the parents. And then we were attempting to memorize the songs and add motions to the songs to just to trigger our memories, really. Right? And if you move, that's another way to remember things. And as we were practicing the songs, I flubbed the words, and the children corrected me, and I said, "This is great. This is why we're practicing, right? So that we can, you know, we can work at it, right? We can get better at it." And one of the kids asked me, "It's like, well, it's a good thing, Nicole, that you didn't mess up in front of the parents, because if you messed up in front of the parents, like, would you be embarrassed?" And I said, "No, honestly, no, I would not be embarrassed, because look, I just messed up in front of you guys, and nothing happened, right? You guys are my friends." Right? And you support me, right? You know that when people are learning something, they make a mistake, and nobody laughed at me and nobody yelled at me, and and I just feel like it's an opportunity now for me to try again and to learn. So I am not embarrassed when I make a mistake, because that happens to everybody, and that's part of learning. And so it was a lovely teachable moment, right? About how, struggle is okay. That's what we do when we learn. So let's stop making everything easy for children. Don't jump in, take a step back, right? The problems that nature affords us, right? Whether it's a variable weather, whether it's using loose parts and trying to figure out how to make a loose part work in a way that, something designed specifically for a task might work differently. And to, manage the terrain, let children have that healthy struggle so that they can develop problem solving skills. Show that they can gain a deeper understanding of whatever the concepts are that they're working on, so that they get to feel the accomplishment and pride, right, when they conquer something. And to give them practice managing emotions that come with disappointment and frustration, right? So, if you are with children this coming week, remind yourself, take a step back, right? Go ahead and ask questions, go ahead and be that emotional support, but don't take over. And give yourself some grace as you practice that, as you struggle with something that may be new for you as an educator. And then join me here next week when we will be talking about the importance of creativity and both divergent and convergent thinking. I will see you there.